Hello everyone, Jimmy here, and welcome back to episode 3 of Omnifactory. In between episodes, I went ahead and made a lathe. It basically turns ingots into rods at a 1:2 ratio. So kind of like the wire mill, but for rods. And if you remember back in our very early on, like the first episode or something, I mentioned that we needed some ender pearls for the range module. Well, now we can make ender pearls from diamonds and pulsating dust in the alloy smelter we made last episode. Takes a little while, but it, sure beats having to go out there and whack endermen, right? So with these ender pearls, we can now upgrade this to a range module. Put this in here. What's that set to? Silver ore. So we can see, we have one piece of silver ore all the way over there. We can now see it from super far away. So yeah, now we can basically any ore that exists, we can find it from, I think it's like 64 blocks away. It's quite a long range. So anyways, on to our goals for today. Let's make one piece of pulsating iron just to complete that quest. I would like to improve our power generation so that we can get into this deep mob learning stuff here. We go through our iron pretty quickly, and deep mob learning is a pretty cheap and easy way to generate a fair amount of iron in the early game. But it also uses a fair amount of RF, so right now we're producing 160 RF a tick off 4 steam dynamos. I'm thinking we'll convert these 2 to boilers, and 2 to turbines, and we'll add 2 more turbines. That'll produce, for one, it'll produce more RF and it'll use less fuel. Another thing I think I want to do this episode is head over to the Nether and see if we can build a pair of ender tanks, which shouldn't be too bad. We need to hunt down a few blazes, but that's fine. And the ender pump, which I think is also not too bad. It's 4 pumps, that's doable. So yeah, if we can make that, we can also start generating some magmatic power to augment our steam dynamos. So yeah, I guess I'll start by working on crafting the. Let's start on the turbines. So I'll be back when we have some of those components crafted up. Alright, and we're back. If you look now, we have 2 more steam dynamos. We have all our augments for them and some fluid conduits to move the steam around. So let's start by ripping up the ones that we already have down. Sleeping through the night so we don't get blown up by a creeper. I probably could and should make a mega torch so that I don't have to worry about the night, but I'll get there. So how do we want to do this? Let's start with the 2 boilers. Maybe put a space between them for their water source. So these we want to have boiler and fuel. Do these stop? These do not throttle. So even if there's nowhere for the steam to go, they keep running. Good to know. And then from there we want, let's see, max 400 a tick. Perfect. I do not want these filled with water. I guess we need a fluid trash can. Just some iron plates, sure. just to get that water out of that pipe real quick. So these we actually do not want them to extract. The dynamos push steam, and they push faster than the conduits can extract. I also want these facing up, I expect. That's down, whatever. We can turn them with a wrench. There we go. And then if we put some fuel in these and our augments in these, they should all start producing energy. So yeah, they each produce 160 RF a tick using 80 millibuckets of steam. Each of these produces 160 millibuckets of steam, so it's incidentally the right ratio. Looks like we may need a couple more energy conduits. That's fine. Do I have some conductive iron laying around? Not, it's easy enough to make, right? This is a guy that has almost no iron left. So if we can just get 4 of these, we can make enough cables for now. Alright, so now once these drain, they'll start producing, full power. But yeah, now we upgraded ourselves from what was it, 160 RF a tick up to 4 by 160, so that's 640 RF a tick. That'll fill these our capacitors here up much faster. Awesome. Actually, I think we've gone above the limit of our energy conduit, haven't we? We indeed have. Let's see what the next tier energy conduit is. So the next tier is energetic alloy. So I guess we can't quite get there yet. That's okay. We'll just waste a little bit of fuel for now. Now that we have item conduits too, we can set this up to automatically insert fuel into these, so that I don't have to run over here with tiny batches of coal, every couple minutes. We want to round robin just so that the fuel gets into both of them. But other than that, we can just throw some burnables in here. I've been cutting our trees from time to time, and it's resulted in quite a bit of charcoal to throw around. So yeah, these will, gradually turn our charcoal into RF. Alright, so now that we've stepped up our energy production, let's look at the next step, which is to make the simulation chamber. Looks like that'll take this pulsating mesh and some dark steel. Let's start with the dark steel. So how is dark steel made? I believe it's obsidian and steel, or void crystals and steel, but we don't have void crystals, so we gotta go get some obsidian. I think down when I was mining I ran into some lava pools, so I'll just go snag up some obsidian and make a batch of dark steel. We'll come back when we're a little further along. Alright, I went and dug up some obsidian, and while I was down there digging, I remembered something about these conduit networks. the limits aren't actually per conduit network, it's per connection. So while we're producing over the 512 RF a tick that one connection can support, if we use 2 connections on our CE, we can actually use all of it. And you can see here, each of our steam dynamos is indeed producing the full amount. So just wanted a quick correction there, make sure there was, you guys understand how these conduit networks work. You can squeeze a little bit more out of them than their rated limit by using multiple connections. So while we talk about that, let's also make a small batch of dark steel. I guess we'll do 24 for now. 25, I guess, because we have a 25th piece of steel coming up. I am basically out of iron, so we'll probably have to do one more iron mining trip before we finish or start up deep mob learning. But once we get into deep mob learning, we'll be swimming in iron. If you look at this recipe here, not only can we make it out of pristine zombie matter, there's actually a very easy way to make it, basically rotten flesh and overworld matter, and you get one of these for every deep mob learning cycle, so you get a lot of iron very quickly, and you use a lot of iron very quickly, so it's good that you can get it. So while that dark steel cooks up, the next thing to make is carbon mesh and pulsating mesh. If I recall, these are also made in the alloy smelter. So coal or carbon dust and some string. Unfortunately, we don't really have string. We have 13, that'll do for now. And coal dust. So that makes these, and then how do I turn these? Also alloy smelter to make, and you need what, 4 per sim chamber? So we need a little bit more string. Hey, 16 more string, how convenient. Alright, so we're gonna have to run this alloy smelter a bit. I'll be back when we have all the smelting done. Alright, I think we have everything it takes to make the simulation chamber now, so it uses some dark steel. Besides that, it doesn't use much. 4 pulsating mesh and 3 tier 1 circuits. And we have a simulation chamber. Now, just a simulation chamber alone doesn't do anything, but I think the quest will guide us to these data models. So for those of you that don't know how deep mob learning works, instead of like actually killing mobs, it quote unquote simulates their deaths. In the process, with every kill you get you guaranteed get a type of matter, and you have a chance to get pristine matter. So if we look at let's say zombies here, to do zombie simulations, or to do any simulation, you need this pulsing polymer clay, which we'll automate this later, but for now we'll just hand make batches of it. And for every kill, you always get 1 overworldian matter, and depending on the tier of your model, the more kills it gets, the more it tiers up. You have a chance to get this pristine zombie matter. And for now, we don't have a way to use the pristine matter yet. If you look, it has to be used in the loot fabricator, which takes a bunch of MV components. So we're not quite there yet. But for now, all we're after is this overworldian matter, because we can turn that into iron ingots. Also, arrows are surprisingly useful. I'm hoping to go to the end soon to kill the Ender Dragon and set up a Enderman farm there. Anyways, let's finish making our simulation chamber here. I already made it, didn't I? Let's make that data model then. So what is this? Some gold wires and electrical steel plates. That's not too bad. So we just run gold through the wire mill twice. We'll get that. Any day now. And then electrical steel, I believe, is made in an alloy smelter with silicon and steel. Actually, do we have silicon yet? We can centrifuge, or we can electrolyze clay dust for it. but that requires both an electrolyzer and a macerator. But I don't see any easier way to get it, so I guess we still have to make a couple more machines. So let's make the electrolyzer and the macerator. We'll get those running and be right back. Alright, so now we're ready to make one basic macerator. And we should be good to make one basic electrolyzer as well. The macerator will turn dust or clay into clay dust, and the electrolyzer will turn clay dust into various other components. So let's set these up with their quote-unquote automation. I don't know why it becomes dark like that. Alright, so to get clay dust we have to macerate some clay. We can also do terracotta, and good news is there's a lot of terracotta in the Lost Cities. So if you saw there, I have Vein Miner installed. It's mostly just a convenience thing. Throw some terracotta in there. It macerates down into clay dust. I really wish they didn't look like this. This might be Optifine. Whatever. Let's set these to both auto output. So we can take our clay dust, throw it into here. Takes it a little while, but we can just run large batches for now. And we needed, what, 4 electrical steel? So let's let this, I think you get 2 per batch. Let's run 2 batches. We'll just make our 4 for now. Do we actually even have 4 steel left? Doesn't look like it. We are incredibly low on resources right now. So yeah, this gives us some, oh, I guess you get 4 per batch, perfect. So once this is done making steel, we can make our electrical steel. And then we can make our blank data model. I guess it's that way because it's dark. Alright, we can just do this. No, that doesn't do it. I'd rather have that, I guess, than it'd be all dark. So there's 4 electrical steel. We need it as plates. And then what do we need after that? Just a single piece of rotten flesh. Not bad at all. Three of those and a single circuit. And then a single piece of rotten flesh. Let's claim the Macerator. Do we not get... it wants us to pick up the aluminum and lithium, sure. Let's also begin running a little bit more clay through that. We'll need this aluminum in great quantity later. The rest of this stuff is mostly just byproduct. But now that we have our simulation chamber, for now let's grab some electrical conduits. I swear I had some in here. They're in my inventory. Herp derp. I think these prefer to have input via the top. So we want to put the data model in there, and we have to put some of that pulsating polymer clay, which is pretty easy to make. I think we still have some pulsating dust left. Grab a stack. So clay dust can be turned back into clay blocks. For now, that's easier than digging up a riverbed. Have we used up all of our fuel? It looks like we have, so I should throw a little bit more charcoal in there. Although, to be perfectly honest, 25 million RF and this thing will last a while. Anyways, we can grab some of our pulsating polymer clay, throw it in here. Should probably put a energy or a power, whatchamacallit, a capacitor bank, one of those things, so that there's a little bit of a buffer, but we'll get around to it, I guess. So if you look at this thing, as it runs, it produces one of these overworldium matters every time, and each one of these turns into effectively two ingots. And we can also turn it into rotten flesh because we'll need a little bit of that to make our iron. Alright, so let's see what our next step is. Let me complete that quest real quick just to make it happy. So we have unlocked very basic applied energistics, but really all it is a glorified, big inventory at this point. I'm not really having issues with inventory management. So let's look into making the blast furnace next. The blast furnace will start to unlock various medium voltage components, and that includes stuff like the loot fabricator and the rest of applied energistics, the good parts of applied energistics. So what do we need? Nickel, Invar, and Cooper nickel. I think we've already made most of those. Invar? I may have used all my nickel. You know what? I'll just come back after we complete that and have some of the blast furnace materials ready. Alright, and we're back. I did a lot of mining between episodes to get resources. You see, our ores chest is quite full. I ran into another diamond vein, I hit an emerald vein somewhere along the way. Yeah, lots of good stuff we have to, process down sooner or later. I hit a big uranitite vein so that we can run our deep mob learning a little bit more. It's, continuing to effectively produce iron for us. But the big thing I did was I made all the components for a blast furnace. Now we can set it up here. It's going to be a little cramped. I think I'm going to knock down this entire building, just level it, move our enchanting setup somewhere else, just so we have some room for our machines to expand. Now this blast furnace, it'll take a total of 4 amps. And this of LV power, and this CEF only outputs 4 amps. So it'll basically take the entire CEF's output. To deal with that, I think I'm going to have to upgrade this to a 16x CEF and upgrade our wires to 16x. But for now, let's just get the blast furnace set up so it can start processing a little bit of, say, like aluminum and stuff. Aluminum and energetic alloy. So the way you set up the blast furnace, you need, it's a 3x3x3 multi-block. The controller goes in the front middle. You need, let's see, how do I want to do this? You need an item in, an item out, a fluid in, a fluid out, energy hatches. So because we need a medium voltage blast furnace, but we only have access to low voltage, we need 2 energy hatches. And then the bottom layer, you fill it in with these heat-proof casings. Then you need 2 layers of coils. And then the top layer is just another layer of heat proofs. And if I did it right, they should have formed. Yep, it has now formed into a multi-block. Now the reason I put those hatches the way they are is that they push and pull towards their dot side. Normally I would put crates here, but there's an issue with crates is that you can't click past them. Like I can't actually click on the thing there even though I can see it. So actually I'm just going to use vanilla chests here. I did build a magnum torch so that I don't have to deal with mobs at night. I still like to sleep at night just so the trees grow. And pretty soon we should also automate fuel collection. Normally I think I do sugarcane feeding those dynamos, although a recent change has made the farming station from Ender.io available much earlier. And since we're already almost at MV, I think maybe I'll just skip the sugarcane this time around and go straight to charcoal-based fuel. Anyways, what did I come here to grab? Chests. So now if anything I want to, cook in the blast furnace, I can just throw in there. Now if you look at this, we have a little bit of aluminum, so let's start cooking that. So we just put a single piece in here. It'll automatically get pulled into the input bus where it starts cooking. What'll happen though is that these machines are no longer getting enough power because, well, the blast furnace is taking it all. So for now, I think I'm only going to cook up that one piece of aluminum. I don't actually need it yet. And then I'll have to upgrade our power system. But for now, I think we can call this episode here. I think we made good progress. We got up to our first blast furnace, our first of many to be sure. But yeah, let me know if there's any suggestions, anything I could do better. And hope to see you in the next episode.